The UK government has announced plans for a new regulator in the wake of the Grenfell disaster. It'll have the power to prosecute developers who don't meet safety standards. Reporting for LBC Live, our correspondent Rachael Venables.
Eddie, this comes in part of a huge piece of legislation called the Building Safety Bill, crafted in the wake of the Grenfell Tower fire, designed to prevent a repeat of the tragedy, which of course killed 72 people back in 2017. Now, the bill itself was published just before 4 o'clock, so less than half an hour ago. It's over 200 pages long. It's something campaigners, politicians, journalists have been waiting for months, if not years. Many of them will be racing through it as we speak. But I can tell you so far the main details, the main bullet points of what this is meant to achieve is greater accountability in the build process. So a new regulator will be set up with the power to prosecute property developers who don't meet safety standards. These developers could also have their properties taken off the market if effectively found guilty. It also intends to make sure there will be what's known as clearly identified people responsible for the safety of the design, the build, the occupation of high-rise buildings. It's also designed to give residents more routes in which they can raise issues about concerns and safety. We know, of course, warnings at Grenfell went ignored, sadly, for years. And all of this comes after yesterday the Department for Housing briefed that they would also be expanding the compensation period. So residents can now sue builders for dodgy work up to 15 years after their property was actually built. And significantly, that will be retrospective. So if you live in a property completed in 2010, it was built badly, you'll now have until 2025 to take action.
What's the reaction been to all of this afternoon?
Well, obviously, we're in very early days, but I think largely mixed to indifferent to downright disappointed. And in some cases, I think people may be very upset, Eddie, because while there is no doubt some will benefit from this bill, many certainly feel it makes the right noises. I've already been speaking to some of the campaigners from End Our Cladding Scandal who were flicking through the pages as we spoke. They talked about welcoming this idea of a new era of accountability, and there is a real hope that it'll protect future flat owners. But there's real concern about how well this will help the many thousands of people who we've, of course, been reporting on for months now, stuck in unsellable, dangerous homes right now, either because they have flammable cladding or a plethora of other fire safety defects on their buildings. Expanding the litigation from 6 to 15 years, which I mentioned earlier, isn't a catch-all solution. Some buildings will be too old, or many other reasons people won't be able to sue. I was speaking, for example, earlier to a man called Alex, who's from the Ipswich Cladding Campaign Group, and he says none of the 19 blocks in their city will be able to benefit from this change.
So far, Ipswich buildings have been unable to benefit from the latest announcements from the government on the Building Safety Bill. This is either due to the building being more than 15 years old, or that the developer is absent through either going bust or dissolving and forming another company through a different name. As it stands, the Building Safety Bill does not support leaseholders affected by the building safety crisis. It also does not answer the question on who pays.
And just lastly, on that idea of who pays, leaseholders, campaigners, even the Housing Select Committee, Eddie, wanted this to be the bill that protected leaseholders from all costs of remediation. From what I can see so far, as was expected, the bill would only require building owners to demonstrate they'd explored other means of meeting these costs. So they have to prove they tried to go elsewhere before then passing the costs directly onto the leaseholders. And we know these are bills that could reach up to £100,000 per person.
Our correspondent Rachael Venables with the latest. Sorry for the quality of the line in places, but we were able to hear, thank goodness, everything Rachael was saying.